less than 40 days away from Election Day on Tuesday, November 5th. Some Michigan voters are actually looking to vote by mail, but some third-party groups are sending out absentee ballot applications to voters without them even asking for it. Is it legit? What should we really do with these ballots? That's why joining us right here live on The Splash to debunk some of those questions, we have West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder joining us. Thank you for being here.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
I'm doing just fine now that you are here. I kind of want to pick your brain with a few of these things that's going on, specifically with this third-party group absentee ballot. From your perspective, how are you ensuring that these absentee ballot applications received from these third-party mailers are properly validated and secure for voters?
Well, there isn't a question of security because what they are is applications. So if they are to get turned into us, we're going to enter it into the qualified voter file and notice that the voter has either, they also send registrations. Either the voter has already registered and or possibly already requested an absentee ballot application. So there's no security issue whatsoever to these applications at all. The issue is that it does confuse the voters, and that's where we kind of battle, when they get those, and we'll have people that say, I got 7 ballots, but they didn't get 7 ballots. They got 7 applications. Now, the reality with those third-party applications or contacts is that people do have the right to send them. Between free speech and using Freedom of Information Act to obtain the information about the voter list, they do have the right to send them. So we have to make sure we're educating voters so they know when they receive them that they may or may not be from their actual clerk's office. When we send an application or a registration form or an application, it has a barcode on it. Typically, we can scan something in for the voter. It has created a lot of work for us because we'll get in these applications, people don't remember or they don't think they filled it out. So we'll go to enter it in manually, and we discover that it's maybe the second, third, or fourth one that we've received for that person. So, but what they are is many of them are legitimate, and they're really just trying to get out the vote or get people to register. But these lists that have been obtained using Freedom of Information Act requests have been sold, merged, shared. In over time, the lists have just little things that make them not quite accurate. So people may get, these forms that are registered because there's some anomaly. They are legitimate registration forms. Typically, and I can't think of a counterexample, they're addressed back to your correct clerk. So again, it is a legitimate contact. It just does confuse our voters. And I did get a call, I know the one that you have on your screen was concerning to somebody because they thought taxpayer money was being used to send that. But that was a third-party contact that did a lot of just using the governor's name and trying to make it look like it was official. But the reality is it was sent by a third-party interest group that wanted to get out the vote. So the best thing to do when you get these mailers or these things you're uncertain about is one, Google the name of who actually sent it. Now on that one, on the return address, it had Governor Whitmer, but if you read the bottom of it, it said the Voter Something Project. And if you Google that, you'll find out that it's a third-party, non-governmental entity that was sending it. So, that's it.
No, I appreciate that information. So there's a little bit of digging, a little bit of investigating that you have to do, but ultimately, I'm glad you provided that clarification regarding this. These ballots from these third parties are legit. They have the right to legally do that. But like you said, they're not ballots, they're ballot applications. So I just want to make sure
or registration forms.
There we go. So they aren't legit ballots. They aren't being funded by taxpayer money or anything of that nature. So I appreciate that clarification. With us right here live on The Splash, by the way, West Bloomfield Township Clerk Debbie Binder, debunking some of the myths and misconceptions when it comes to these absentee ballots and absentee ballot applications coming from third parties. Now, real quick, I know there is something regarding to validation with signatures and things of that nature. You kind of explained it a little bit, but can you go into more detail into the process your office follows to match the voter signatures on absentee ballot application and how it maintains the integrity during the election?
I am glad you asked that. That's a really good question because it's something people don't realize either. And we have, when we do get a ballot back or an application and we do verify the signature against the one that we have in the qualified voter file, The one that we have in the qualified voter file is the signature that the person used on their driver's license or on their state ID.
Okay.
Now, we have a couple of populations in particular, our 18 to 25-year-olds who are maturing their signature, so those signatures change. Or, sometimes we have elderly people who may develop some kind of a physical, problem that changes their signature. They are able to put an alternate signature on file with the clerk's office that we would be able to accept as well. But we are checking it against what we have on your license. We did have a mother and son one year that wondered why their ballot was rejected, and it turned out that they tried to sign their signature very carefully on their ballot, which didn't match what was on their license at all. And unfortunately, they did not get the messages. We do try to contact anybody that has a signature issue, whether it's not signed or the signature doesn't match. We're contacting them by email, mail if there's time, and phone calls. So we do try to catch them and give them the opportunity to cure whatever the signature deficiency would be.
Right.
But we didn't reach them in this case. And the other thing that's good to know is that, it doesn't have to be your full name as it is. When you register online, it has to be the name exactly as it is on your driver's license. When you sign your ballot, like if I were to write D. Binder instead of writing out my entire name, but the characteristics of the writing were clearly mine, then we would accept that. And,
Oh,
and just,
wow.
I did put my own alternate signature on file because I looked at my signature one day and said, I wouldn't take that. So I put my own, alternate signature, but that is an option.
Right.
Important things to know with that is the voter actually has to vote the ballot and have a mark, whatever alternate signature it is. Power of attorney does not transfer for voting, and neither does, these ballots will not forward. So those are two important things for people
Yes.
to know.
No, that was real good to know. Power of attorney doesn't work with voting and things of that nature. That's very great information. It's also good that you kept in mind for the younger voters who may be, like you said, or even the older voters who may be redeveloping their signature. I remember that phase of my life where I was just trying to get my signature down pat. So I could imagine a different entities that's probably looking like, this is a different signature from before. So I love that you all do your due diligence. Debbie, we appreciate your time being here, all the information. Any additional information regarding voting, election day, or absentee ballots that you want to let the community know about?
Well, I would let people know in the community who are watching, we will be putting the absentee ballots in the mail today. We were going to take them to the Metroplex, which is the post office in Pontiac. We will be delivering 17,500 ballots to the Metroplex. So if you have already requested an absentee ballot, watch your mail. If you don't get it within the next 2 weeks, you may want to call our office to see if, to confirm that we have sent it. And if we haven't, it hasn't arrived, we can spoil it and issue you a new one. You may obtain an absentee ballot up to 4 p.m. the Monday prior to the election.
Okay.
So now that 4 p.m. is a hard stop. It's statutory, so I cannot hand you one at 4:01. So you'd have to be here by 4 p.m. on Monday. And also important to remember, Kevin, which is actually very exciting, because I was typically a precinct voter because I like to get my sticker.
Yeah.
But I am now a convert to early voting. It is so convenient at the West Bloomfield Library for anyone in West Bloomfield, Kego Harbor, Sylvan Lake, or Orchard Lake. Our Oakland County is providing the service for the local clerks, so Lisa Brown is overseeing it. And it's been a tremendous help, and it is so easy for people who want to participate. And even if you get an absentee ballot in the mail, you may take that absentee ballot to the early voting center or to your precinct on election day and feed the ballot through yourself.
Oh.
And one of the nice features of that is if you were to make a mistake on your ballot, in this election it would be different, but for an example, in the August primary, if you crossed over, the machine would kick it back and you would get to spoil your ballot and vote a new one. So you get a second bite at the apple, where if you turn it in as an absentee ballot, it is absolutely counted. But if you make a mistake, a bipartisan team is going to make a determination on if that ballot should be, how it should be counted. Should it be cast without that partisan section counting, or should it be duplicated onto one without the error? So it's important to keep that in mind. I just think early voting kind of brings the best of both worlds. as well as an opportunity for a resident or a voter who may have a vacation planned or will be out of town, or our residents who may work a long shift. They're firefighters, they're nurses. You know, they may have a long shift, and the 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. on election day just doesn't
True.
work.
True.
So it's something to keep in mind. You now have 3 ways to vote. You can vote by absentee ballot. You can do early voting, and even you can do early voting with or without your absentee ballot. And you can also vote in your precinct on election day.
There we go.
We try to make it so that people have access to the ballot. And if you have questions, on any of those third-party mailers, or you're at all confused, call the clerk's office. We're going to check it out for you.
Please do. These are resources that are available at our fingertips, especially if you have questions with a lot of different messages coming at, especially during election season. I just have one question. We definitely got to let you go, Debbie, and I appreciate you. Is there any chance that we will get some of these I voted stickers designed by Michelle Leckman of West Bloomfield High School?
Do you know what? I have to look at them again. I do. I'm glad you brought it up, because with all the stuff going on, we got preoccupied and then forgot to go back and look at it. So I appreciate the reminder, and we will go take a look at them and see if we can order them in time for the election.
Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. That'd be so nice right there. Well, thank you so much again for your time and giving us information regarding absentee ballots, specifically coming from these third-party groups. From the West Bloomfield Township Clerk, Debbie Biner. Thank you again.
Thanks, Kevin. Have a great day.